From the moment you fall asleep, your body enters a carefully regulated metabolic state. Throughout the night, it maintains blood glucose levels without food intake, drawing first from stored glycogen in the liver. By morning, after roughly 8 to 12 hours of fasting, your metabolism is already in a transitional phase. But what actually happens if you skip breakfast and extend that fasting window even further? To understand this, we must first recognize that breakfast is not merely a cultural habit.
Welcome to SciCuriousID, where curiosity meets science.
It marks the metabolic shift from overnight fasting to daytime energy regulation. When you wake up, cortisol levels naturally rise, a phenomenon known as the cortisol awakening response. This hormone helps mobilize stored energy, increasing blood glucose slightly to prepare you for activity. If you eat breakfast, insulin is released to regulate that glucose. The body shifts from relying primarily on stored glycogen to using incoming dietary carbohydrates and fats. However, if you skip breakfast, the body remains in a fasting state. Initially, this is not inherently harmful. The liver continues breaking down glycogen to maintain blood sugar. Once glycogen stores begin to decline, the body increases gluconeogenesis, producing glucose from amino acids. At the same time, fat oxidation increases. In other words, your body begins relying more heavily on stored fat for energy. This is one reason structured intermittent fasting protocols have gained attention. Controlled fasting can enhance metabolic flexibility, the ability to switch between fuel sources efficiently. Research supported by institutions such as the National Institutes of Health suggests fasting can improve insulin sensitivity. But the story becomes more complex when breakfast skipping is inconsistent or unstructured. Appetite-regulating hormones begin to shift. Ghrelin, the hunger hormone, increases as fasting continues. Prolonged morning fasting can intensify hunger later in the day, sometimes leading to increased caloric intake. Several studies have shown that individuals who skip breakfast may compensate by consuming larger meals later. The brain consumes approximately 20% of the body's energy at rest, relying primarily on glucose. In healthy adults, short-term fasting does not typically impair cognition dramatically because the brain can adapt. However, in children, breakfast consumption has been associated with improved attention and memory. For adults, the effect depends on context. Some experience stable focus, others may notice irritability or fatigue. Our metabolic processes follow a biological clock regulated by the suprachiasmatic nucleus in the brain. Emerging research suggests that insulin sensitivity tends to be higher in the morning than at night. Meal timing interacts with hormonal cycles in ways that may influence long-term cardiometabolic health. Studies have observed correlations between breakfast skipping and increased risk of type 2 diabetes. However, correlation does not equal causation. Other factors like stress and sleep play a massive role. The key distinction lies between deliberate, structured fasting and chaotic meal omission. Occasionally skipping breakfast extends your fasting window, and for most, this is physiologically manageable. Chronically skipping breakfast while living under persistent stress is an entirely different metabolic scenario. So, what truly happens when you skip breakfast? Your body does not shut down. It shifts fuel sources. It adjusts hormone levels. It maintains glucose through sophisticated regulatory systems. The real question is not whether breakfast is mandatory. It's about your overall eating pattern. Are you skipping breakfast as part of a structured nutritional strategy or simply because you are rushing? And perhaps more importantly, when you skip breakfast, how does your body actually feel by midday? Like and subscribe for more.
Thanks for watching SciCuriousID. Until next time.